Good afternoon. I'm thrilled to join this conference today together with Henk, and I hope you've had a great day so far with a lot of interesting presentations at this Smart Maritime Network conference. I'm going to walk you through the digitalization journey in the maritime industry, after which we'll have a fireside chat with Henk, and of course, we'll be happy to answer and take your questions. I'm Simha, Chief Digital and Information Officer at MSC, and the Chairman of the Supervisory Board for the Digital Container Shipping Association, DCSA, a neutral, non-profit organization founded by major ocean carriers to digitize and standardize the container shipping industry. In a way, it's an equivalent to IATA, but for the maritime industry. I've spent the last 34 years at MSC, and today I'm responsible for leading and executing the company's overall digital transformation and innovation strategy. In this role, I notably explore how the latest digital technologies such as blockchain, IoT, and smart containers can improve and simplify container shipping for MSC's agencies and customers all around the world. And by the way, I'm Greek, and sadly, for those of you who are enjoying our Greek hospitality, I cannot be with you today. A little word about MSC. MSC is a world-leading container shipping and logistics company and a family company founded back in 1970 in Belgium. Since 1978, we've been based in Geneva, Switzerland. We have an enormous network of ocean-going vessels at any one time around the world and connecting all the continents, so you can find MSC carrying essential cargo. Pretty much anything in your home or office has come on a container ship. So we regard ourselves as an essential cog of global trade, and we perform that service across some 215 different routes, calling at over 500 ports and operating over 500 offices in 155 countries. At MSC, we're also involved in the business of inland transportation, so using trucks, trains, barges, and providing lots of different logistics services such as storage, warehousing, distribution, documentation, customs clearance, and everything you'll find in the supply chain that has to do with moving goods around the world. And this logistic arm is called Medlog. We also have a port infrastructure and a terminal investment company called TIL. And while we're essentially a container shipping company, we do have some niche services such as project cargo, which involves moving, huge pieces of cargo around the world, but primarily we're in container shipping. And the container has been around for a few decades now and actually revolutionized the way we move goods around the world. So it wasn't a complex idea, but the most transformational ones rarely are. And as you may recall, before the adoption of the container, international shipping was a haphazard affair. Goods were transported in barrels, sacks, crates, and cartons, and it could often take wharf workers weeks to load a ship, arranging the cargo on board as best they could, and often helping themselves to some of the goods along the way. So in the 50s, irritated with the inefficiencies of transporting goods, US truck owner Malcolm McLean conceived a new intermodal shipping container, a universally sized box that could be used across trucks, trains, and ships all across the globe. Now, a couple of decades later, this idea gained momentum and in time became the industry standard, revolutionizing shipping in the process. The time to load and unload ships plummeted from weeks to a matter of hours, and it became easier and more economical to move freight from land to sea and back to land again to all the corners of the globe. So the standardization of the shipping container accelerated our industry, unlocked countless opportunities, and enabled the boom of global trade. But now in 2021, we face a new challenge. And the challenge is enormous. We believe that digitalization is a key milestone in the shipping industry. And, it's not about replacing people with digital technology or competing with other carriers. It's simply about meeting future demand as we become 10 million by 2050. So the challenge is really huge. If we look back in 1980, we were 4 billion humans, and we shipped 3 billion tons of goods around the world. 40 years later, we've doubled the population to 8 billion and multiplied by 4 times the cargo to 11 billion tons. By 2030, it's estimated we're going to have to find a way to ship another 5 billion tons, but we don't have 40 years to get there. And the revolution of bigger ships and the container has already happened. So we recognize the need of meeting the growing volumes of global trade, and we also recognize that there's a growing need from our customers for digital solutions. Digitalization is the way forward, enabling greater operational efficiencies, reliability, transparency, speed, security, sustainability, but also a greater collaboration and customer satisfaction. But how do we get there? Here are some of the big issues. I want to talk about the problems we have. So from a customer perspective, there's a lack of traceability, visibility, transparency. We have fraud, counterfeit goods, trafficking, of course, exacerbated with the COVID-19. And we have no complacency and zero tolerance for this. We are many and we are very different. Shippers, consignees, importers, exporters, growers, carriers, port authorities, terminals, and so on. And we're also big. There's over 100,000 commercial ships transporting more than 11 billion tons of trade from one continent to the other. So, keeping this gigantic industry afloat requires an intricate and highly advanced communication system. And this comes with enormous complexities and challenges. We're also very much paper-based and manual. So we've tried to digitize in the past, and we succeeded to standardize some EDI messages, for example, in the early 2000s. But that's not enough because we don't speak the same language. And as we evolved, different carriers began using different communication formats, systems and protocols, and everything became very complex. So in one sense, we're back to stacking the ship with barrels, sacks, and cartons. And of course, this doesn't work, and global trade is growing, and it's inefficient. And in an increasingly digital on-demand world, customer expectations are higher than ever. There's also a lot of technology, lots of tech suppliers, startups trying to fix these problems. And some have great technology and ideas, but others say they're struggling with the complexity, scale, and diversity of this industry. Now, I don't believe that technology should be a differentiator now. But, I wonder what would happen if we actually had a pile of instruments and everyone in the room grabbed one and started playing. And it would probably sound pretty bad and disorganized with everybody just doing their own thing. Well, welcome to, apologies for that, tech problems. So welcome to the magical world of digital in our industry. Everyone is using different instruments and trying to play the same song. So we're not acting in a harmonized way. Now, what is the way forward? Well, we need to put the foundations in place and essentially get to a point where we can speak the same language and understand each other better. In 2019, speaking the same language is what inspired the establishment of the Digital Container Shipping Association, where MSC is a founding member. And DCSA was created as a neutral non-profit group by several of the largest container shipping lines to further digitalize the container shipping industry through technology standards. And since its inception in 2019, DCSA is making a lot of progress towards establishing the digital standards for our industry. And in spite of 2020 and 21 being very challenging years in many aspects, DCSA released quite a lot of standards, for example, track and trace standards with common APIs, IoT standards for container connectivity, and more recently, standards for bills of ladings. And looking back at the creation of DCSA has truly been a great milestone. The industry realized, and is still realizing, that the initiative behind DCSA is necessary in order to help all the actors in the supply chain become more efficient, interconnected, and improve the interoperability. Now, if we look at the electronic bill of lading, we recently launched the MSC e-bill of lading, and by investing more in digital solutions, we're effectively looking at ways to transform a lot of the offline activities that are mostly time-consuming and turn them into more cost-effective ways of doing business with our customers. So here we're looking at reduction in labor cost and processing time. This is very important. Electronic presentation of trade documents with an e-bill of lading, reduction in letters of indemnity and demurrage costs, of course, a positive environmental impact, and reduction of errors as much less rekeying of information is required. And of course, the ability to accept bill of lading presentations outside of working hours. So what we're actually doing here is paving the way for e-documentation, and the e-bill of lading is just the beginning of this. Now, very often, our customers simply want to know that their cargo is safe and secure, that it will arrive on time. And of course, they want to have this available on any device at any time of the day as part of the usual service. So in other words, they want all the carrier information to be connected with real-time remote tracking and monitoring. So at MSC, we were early investors in smart containers, and we're among the leading advocates in the smart containerization of our industry. In late 2018, we partnered with a company called Traxens with the aim of delivering smart containers for comprehensive tracking and monitoring. And this is truly a solution that's in continuous evolution. And at MSC, we're always assessing ways to expand the use of smart containers across the industry, for example, by talking to our customers about the advantages, by conducting pilot projects, and this is a very important aspect. And we've invested a lot of time and resources on developing a technology solution to centralize remote reefer monitoring, for example, designed with the primary motivation to meet our customers' needs. The solution will be open, modular, scalable, secure, interoperable, and based on the standardized protocols that I mentioned earlier on. So what better than this picture? I don't know if you have a sea view, but this is what you would see if you did. So what's on the horizon? Well, we're working on data availability, and quality, very important part. We want to provide visibility and predictability to our customers. We do want to offer more self-service solutions, but without losing the personal touch. And of course, we keep a very open mind on ecosystems and interoperability. And in the end, we focus on customer centricity and service differentiation. So to conclude, we need to transform ourselves. We need to understand what are our customers' real needs. We need to provide them with logistics and transport solutions to make the customer's life easier and simpler so that they can focus on their real job and their core competencies. So don't ask what they want. They don't know. They know what they need, and we try to design solutions for them, but we need to do this together. So as a concluding slide, supply chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And we're doing this because we truly believe in solving this problem together, and in the end, perhaps be able to advance into the future and play beautiful music together. So thank you very much.